but what I'm getting at is basically that if we were to dig deep into Hollyweird, I
Mm-hmm.
suspect that a lot of people who would have been production assistants forever, or at least for a long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
are being promoted to production level authority that they should not have because their predecessors are dying,
Well,
retiring, going to
well,
jail.
there's lots of things that happen in the production chain.
Yeah,
So let's say Rune, let's say you and I, we got a bankroll. We went out to
right,
Hollywood. We started, spamming Hollywood with scripts,
right.
and eventually we'd get hired, and we would be given production credit because they would take what we wrote and they would, bastardize it and turn it into something else.
Right.
And there are people who do that enough times that they use that experience to convince another studio to let them actually produce something.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the show where we talk about the He-Man movie.
I
And
mean,
there's
is the show live? Are we live now?
yeah, we've been live for like
Oh,
14 seconds.
oh, sweet.
So there's been a lot of talk about it. A lot of talk about it. In did you watch the Red Letter Media review about He-Man?
I did not, but I kept looking at it, thinking I should.
So they think He-Man is too late. It it's an idea that would have worked really good 15 years ago. I disagree with this particular movie being that idea, but I think 15 years ago would have been a better time for a He-Man movie.
Are they saying it's too late because the wokeness won't hit, or are they saying
No,
it's too late because that kind of off-brand millennial humor won't hit?
no. What they're
Okay.
saying is that a He-Man movie would have hit better if people our age, when they had young carpet grubs, took the young carpet grubs to see the He-Man movie.
Ah.
And I think there's a merit to that.
Oh yeah. No. I absolutely think that if we're saying the nostalgia bubble has missed the boat, then yes.
But they've been trying to make this He-Man movie though for 15 years,
Yeah.
and it's gone through multiple hands, multiple different visions, and whenever this happens, when the movie's been in production hell that long, and things get put into the production slurry, normally really weird, shitty ideas happen.
I mean, any production that goes into production hell for too long, because look at uh Duke Nukem Forever, man.
Mm-hmm. So,
Billion years of production and a tone deaf, unfun final product.
I mean, was Duke Nukem ever really all that fun
No,
or
not
tone?
really.
Did it also really hear tones properly?
No, but there are people who swear by it.
So let's go into some of the aspects of the He-Man movie.
Yeah.
There were all the right parts here to make a good movie, and then somebody brought some other parts in the IKEA box and put them in here, and made a weird movie, an okay movie, but a weird movie. So let me first
Well,
ask.
you say IKEA box. Let me use a more apt comparison. Is this somebody including Duplos in your Lego?
I mean, Duplos are actually built to fit with Legos.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, is it weird but it works, or is it like somebody tried to do something with Lego and you're a Rector set?
Well, also some erector sets are built to go with Lego.
No shit.
Yeah, but
I did not know.
let's dig in here for a moment.
Okay.
What is your connection to He-Man?
First generation viewer.
Very good, very good, very good. So, if you were to right now sum up He-Man, your platonic ideal of He-Man in your mind, well, what would that idea be?
Thundar the Barbarian.
Well, He-Man's very different than Thunder the
No,
Barbarian.
no, no. What I mean is that though they are different properties, you cannot go far wrong by essentially crib noting your approach from Thundar the Barbarian. It is a super future fantasy in a post-apocalyptic setting. So magic, science, and swords.
Mhm.
Go.
Okay. Okay. So that's what has to be itched for you for a He-Man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this He-Man movie because He-Man cartoons were morality cartoons because that was what they had to do legally to produce those cartoons. It's the
Yes.
same reason GI Joe had to be and knowing is half the battle.
It's actually even more insidious than that. Are you familiar, as a small segue, with the mandate that the D&D cartoon labored under?
Yes.
For our viewers who might not, the D&D cartoon not only had to have morality tales in it, as was needed to make a toy commercial at the time, but specifically was required to emphasize a follow the leader aesthetic.
Yes.
So our ranger, our quarterback, the hero, the lead, is always right. Everybody that follows him is always right. And the cavalier with the dark hair, whose name I do not recall,
Eric.
is always wrong because he is the pessimist naysayer.
But he had the shield because he was wrong because he needed to be able to protect people. So he was always doubting things so he could keep everybody safe.
Right. But the important thing is that the same 80s cartoons that everyone discards says, oh, it's just a big toy commercial, that parents supposedly hated for being ultra violent and being not educational enough, were specifically hobbled creatively out the gate to be community first and subtly manipulative to their viewer base.
See, I don't necessarily think that was bad, but there is a tonal element of that cheesy moral education
It's
throughout the whole movie.
it's a sliding scale. If we look at GI Joe was unapologetically what GI Joe was, but they spared a minute at the end for a lesson.
Yes.
Whatever. Then you have like He-Man. He-Man had much of the same, but also more or less had morals throughout. Things like Skeletor having to suffer, having to be nice to people because being bad to people would result in immediate supernatural punishment, and we all giggle, right?
They
Thundercats.
actually had theologians help write those elements of He-Man.
Thundercats also had subtle messaging throughout.
Mhm.
But then you have, and I'm gonna date myself so hard. Then you have Dino Saucers. You ever seen Dino Saucers?
Hell yeah, Dino Saucers was fucking amazing.
Wow, I know two people who know Dino Saucers, but it's a rarefied thing because it came out just before Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which just blew it up right out the water, right? But here's the thing: do you remember the Secret Scouts, the kids who knew the Dino Saucers existed?
I mean, absolutely. You need an audience
Right.
viewpoint character.
Right. So what's your audience viewpoint character? We have Aryan young man and we have Aryan young woman. Right. We have black best friend with glasses.
Because he's smart. Because black people can be smart, Roan.
Right. And I want to say, although I could be cross pollinating in my memory, wasn't he also in a high tech wheelchair?
I think you're thinking of the Burger King Kids Club.
Well, no, that's actually my point. Is that for a window of time in the 80s and early 90s, basically everyone tried to make the Burger King's Kids Club as the required check the boxes representation group.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And the more accurately they replicated that, often the worse the actual program was. Yes. Until after, of all things, here's a weird fucking twist, Ren and Stimpy. After Ren and Stimpy opened the gross out window, not only do you have a bunch of cartoons that all decided to go be gross, but more and more cartoons started saying, you know what, we're cartoons. Fuck this representation. We're gonna be funny. Um, and I want to say like between 93 and 96, maybe, were a bunch of cartoons that weren't good, but they at least weren't trying to pander, because there were also a bunch of uh, other Ninja Turtle knockoffs.
Mhm.
There was one with dinosaurs, like in the 1930s. It wasn't very good, and of course there was Street Sharks, which are jawsome.
They are. They are.
Um, which
Or that one with the researchers on the water planet, where they had a magic thing in their ship that turned them into fish people.
I actually don't know that one.
Oh, I'll
No,
have to.
no. Here's the thing. What I was watching at the same time, instead of that, whatever that is, I was watching Exo Squad, which is always good. Shout out to Exo Squad, and
Mhm.
Biker Mice from Mars. Not
Biker
because
Mice
I
from
not because I
right.
actually like Biker Mice from Mars, but because Biker Mice from Mars decided, hey, you know what? What if we did a serious story about an alien invasion and interstellar war with our
Mhm.
toy commercial?
But so He-Man's got
Yeah,
several different layers of the whole morality thing,
yeah.
and it doesn't always hit on all the points. And also, inside one of their layers of the morality tale, they're making fun of HR departments,
Mm.
and they have a Office Space kind of moment with Prince Adam He-Man, because one of the big morals and one of the morality tales is you need to be true to yourself and follow your dreams.
I mean, those aren't bad arguments to make,
No, no.
but
So that's the thing. That is interesting how they're trying to express it this way as a tonal callback to the old show, but they also connected to a subtext about toxic masculinity. So, eh,
we'll see. Because that's the thing, is that we have to what we have to address. Okay,
mhm,
right now we're in the stage where there are lots of people, ourselves including, coming out with mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. If it hits for you, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Let's talk about it. That's good. Okay, there are people who are giving it unambiguous high praise, like Shad. And frankly, Shadiversity can go fuck himself. I'm
mm,
already biased against his opinions to begin with.
I mean, look, it has a sword in it. Shad's gonna be interested.
Well, yeah, especially if he gets to talk about how that's not how swords work while doing very unscientific experiments. But then we have, shout out to people that don't even know we exist, who I'd love to sit in a room and talk to. The guys over at Midnight's Edge. One of their guys is named Tom. Tom is
Hold up,
apparently
hold up, hold up. They know we exist.
Midnight's Edge knows we exist.
Yeah, I used to do Midnight's Edge After Dark with Tom.
I I did not know. I've never met those guys. Those guys sound great. I
It's
me and their lead guy are Conan fans. So,
yeah, yeah.
um, but Tom, if you haven't seen it, it's fabulous. Tom went on an insane fucking rant about how bad it was and how Mattel will never get his money again. And I mean, it's a rant worthy of me.
Mhm, mhm.
And but the thing is, he's supposedly like a really put together, down to earth guy who doesn't flip out. So, like,
He
what did they
Tom
do?
Tom could flip out, but
Okay.
let me get back to the whole layering thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So toxic masculinity. You got a Skeletor, you got a Prince Adam. So they're running. We're not so different, you and I, but they didn't say it, which I like. They didn't
Okay.
say it that Skeletor is what Prince Adam would have been if he didn't have positive male role models in his life, like Man at Arms, or even complicated positive male role models like his dad. And if he didn't have the drumroll please found family, Skeletor didn't have a found family, he just has henchmen. But I mean, you could totally have henchmen as a found family if you do it right.
Yeah.
And the issue is about strength. and what strength means. And what the show wants to do is strength is it's in the heart. The power, strength is about your emotional, realness. And you're willing to be vulnerable and blah blah blah. So their talk about toxic masculinity hits funny because there's a part of the discourse about masculinity with toxic masculinity is bullshit. But
Right.
if you're self-confident and self-assured, a lot of the things about that are deceptive about what these people call toxic masculinity don't happen because you don't need to play those games because you know who you are, you know what you're about.
Actually, instead of me sharing this screen and possibly doing this wrong, I'm going to send you a link while you're goobing.
Yeah. So the problem is that they decided in their finite wisdom that he's a protagonist that needs to be a punching bag.
Again, I want to make I ramble about this previously. I'm not launching into a full thing, but I just want to say we should know that this doesn't work because it didn't work in Thor. Nobody likes your strong heroic character being the punching bag. It's not funny. It's not creative.
We have played this previously.
Yeah,
we're gonna play this again to see if. Oh wait, no, this is him reacting to the movie, not to the trailer.
yes.
Okay, let's see how Skeletor reacted.
Quick! Everyone to the monitor! Now! Go! Go, 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 go!
The pencil sharpener inside this rat's arsehole. That's how you can sharpen your pencil in there, because it's annoying, isn't it, when you lose your pencil sharpener?
Move it out!
Oh god, it's not more Destiny drama, is it?
Destiny? Nah, fuck no. That game's deader than a Discord mod sex life. This here is going to change everything.
And what exactly is this?
Oh, I think this actually is the reaction to the trailer, but but this is still going to be good for the content.
They finally made a Masters of the Universe movie.
Wait, a He-Man movie?
Well, yes, but...
Wait, how is that even possible? I didn't sell my likeness to Hollywood.
No, I sold all of our likenesses to Hollywood years ago at the simple request that they add a 22-minute sex scene between me and Lucy Liu.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that.
Well, you never know.
Not gonna happen.
You never know.
Why did you send me away?
I wanted you to be safe. So I sent you to a place I knew that they'd never find you.
So the safest place you could think was modern-day America.
Why? What's wrong with that?
Nothing! I mean, it's not...
Not only is that modern day America, that's downtown Los Angeles.
Not the safest of places to send your super child.
Oh wow, that's awesome. You got the whole gang here. You got me, Tila, Man-at-Arms, and...
That Orko?
You do not think that Decepticon up there is Orko.
Maybe Orko got a sex change.
What, the fucking Optimus Prime?
Wait, I think that's Roboto.
Roboto? This fucker?
He was kind of, part of the crew.
Even you don't believe that. And is that Battle Cat?
No, Battlecat has armor. That's just Cringer.
Then why is he looking heroic and brave?
Well, Cringer does have his moments.
Cringer's one defining character trait is that he's a pussy.
Hey, Cringer is just as cool as Battlecat.
Battle Cat fucks. Cringer passes out in the cuck chair.
Wait, what? Since when did we have an army?
I have an army. Shit, am I paying for their dental as well?
Wait, you covered dental?
Well, of course I cover. Wait, does the kingdom not?
No. Wow, I mean, we're terrorists, and yet we have that.
He's right, you know. We're basically Looney Tunes Al-Qaeda, and we've got dental.
We also get bonuses. You at least get mental health days.
That's a thing?
Whoa, wow.
And we're supposed to be the villains.
Can we just move on, please?
I look fucking great! God, I can't wait to find out who plays me.
I'll look it up right now, boss.
Who could they get to play a skeleton? Is Ariana Grande busy?
Oh, no.
Well, who is it?
About that.
Spit it out, Trap Jar. Who plays me?
Have you ever seen, Tron Ares?
What? No.
How about Morbius?
Nope.
Suicide Squad. Mr. Nobody?
Jared Leto!
No, wait, there is no way you got it from that.
Ah, fuck! He's gonna ruin my image!
Skeletor, you're a terrorist.
Yeah, but at least I'm not a fucking weirdo, He-Man.
What's so bad about Jared Leto?
Jared Leto is the kind of guy to invite himself to an orgy just to eat from the buffet table.
Can't you at least give him a chance?
You want me to take the chance on the guy who mailed used condoms and anal beads to the cast of Suicide Squad?
Oh, yeah, he totally did do that.
Oh, fuck! We're moving on. I'm still praying for the sex scene.
Take the sword.
Wait, hold up. Jesus Christ on the fucking cross, who is that?
Is that Merman?
What? Me? What the fuck? I look like a hemorrhoid.
You look like every dragon dildo rolled into one.
Wait. Is that meant to be Whiplash?
What? Whiplash? Oh, fuck off. That's not Whiplash. That's Killer Croc's twink brother.
Oh, what? Come on. How come Whiplash gets a full facial and all I get is a back shot? Wow, you actually just said that?
I have the power!
I was kind of hoping for a bit more oomph on that line.
Well, how would you do it?
Oh, well, I'd probably just do something like this.
By the power of Grayskull.
That's it, stop!
I would like to apologize.
You're a fucking dickhead, you know that?
Well, I'm sorry.
Maybe this is the sex scene. Oh, I look great, but Jared Leto, fuck!
Oh, wow, that looked a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Where was the sex scene? No voice, no nya, and no cunnilingus. I've been screwed!
Well, at least people were excited when they saw you. Nobody cared when I appeared on screen.
Oh, wow, I fucking wonder why. Package for Mr. Skeletor. What? For me? Wonder what it is.
Did you ever notice that we just don't have locks on the doors here?
There's a note, too. Dear Skeletor, we're sorry your character is being played by Jared Leto. We know how devastating this must be. To make this up to you, we have sent you a gift that Jared himself has prepared as a peace offering. He hopes this finds you well. Maybe that Jared Leto guy isn't so bad after all. Maybe I should give him a chance to prove himself.
That's nice to hear. You know, we should all grow from this experience and give people the chance to prove.
What? He sent me anal beads and a used condom! What the fuck?
That's a passing endorsement for Tom Christie. If you're on the YouTube and you need something funny to watch, the comedic timing of those is great.
So let me get back to the review thing. So you have a punching bag protagonist because they view that as the only way to show the protagonist growing into being a valid protagonist, which isn't a wrong perspective. But what if, and I'm just spitballing here, what if a character has a fatal flaw, a weakness that once it goes through and causes them to have a setback, and then they learn how to overcome that? Well, what if we do that? I mean, we've only done that for thousands of years in storytelling. It might work.
Well, there's the other approach of note, which is the idea of the character doesn't have a problem, doesn't specifically need growth, but for some reason is, as the kids say, hiding his true power level. He's pushing it down because he's in a position where strength is not the answer for the moment.
I mean, he works in a HR department at the beginning of the movie, so that tracks.
Right. But then the villains appear to do a villainy, and suddenly this person that has been the world's punching bag, he unmasks and reveals he was always actually the strongest, because the ability to take the blows of mundanity, right, of the banal and the small-minded, and not thrash out violently is the mark of a better person. Right?
So what you're saying is he needs to just be able to say, I have the power.
Right. He always had the power. He doesn't need to go through an arc to rediscover the power.
So let me then go down a little bit deeper.
Okay.
We talked about how these themes and these tones, they They fit, but it's the narrative. It's the
Yeah.
narrative thread line where things get kind of hinky. The music was great. The director described the original cartoon as pure 80s cocaine. And I appreciate that when they designed the soundtrack, they focused on as much as they could to make the soundtrack be pure 80s cocaine.
Right.
So that's a strong thing to it. And there are lots of visual references to every He-Man adaptation except for the Kevin Smith one.
They're just gonna quietly put that one out behind the chemical sheds and be like, "This never happened."
And this is the second most lore dense He-Man, but we're gonna go back to that narrative thread problem. So you got Prince Adam in the deep lore that was featured in the show and that was in the show Bible. Prince Adam's mom is from Earth.
Right.
And Skeletor does a Skeletoring, takes over Eternia. Wouldn't it have been more interesting, especially if you're going with a toxic masculinity theme, if Prince Adam and his mom both escaped to Earth? And his mom, being a former astronaut, she lives her life to protect the secrets of her son. It's her last duty to her dead husband. But
Here's the thing, though. This is my question. Why does Prince Adam need to be on Earth at all? Why is that a required component?
So that's now we're going to get into the actual plot details of the movie. So the Eternal Ones, they made some power to fight off bad juju in the universe.
Right.
And to keep the power safe, they contained it in a sword.
Right.
Which is one of the two magical items that He-Man had in the original cartoon that Skeletor always wanted because he wanted the power.
Right.
And so Adam was on Earth to hide the sword. But the sword was also Adam's gateway, according to the sorceress, to get home. So as soon as Adam finds the sword, it's the inciting incident that starts the plot ball rolling of the movie.
Right, but the thing is that Eternia was not at unilateral threat from Skeletor all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
He-Man didn't grow up on Earth.
Right.
He-Man grew up on Eternia, and the reason Prince Adam is kind of a putz, the reason he has to, quote, learn to have the power, right, to embrace his destiny, is because it has always been a potential problem that one day Skeletor might return, right? But Prince Adam grew up basically in peacetime and, was like, yeah, but why should I have to train for, like, war? War's never going to happen.
Well, I mean, that's the Prince Adam from the more recent good cartoon, not the OG cartoon.
Sure.
Which is basically we got this guy who's a pacifist who's got a body like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, I'm not even saying he has to be a pacifist. What I'm basically saying is that if you need to know what the He-Man, specifically Prince Adam, story path is, he's a Luke Skywalker. He's a Luke Skywalker who's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. But to your point.
Yeah.
Having him go to Earth, I don't think was necessary. I think it was something from an older script, and it also tied into their sense that they wanted to do an homage and honor the OG He-Man movie.
Right.
But I'm like, if you're going to do that, you should have just made Dolph Lundgren Randor.
That was okay. Before you even said that, that was what I was saying. It's like, just get Dolph Lundgren's alive. Say, Dolph Lundgren, can you please play King Randor for 5 minutes before you die on screen?
Randor,
and Dolph Lundgren would do it.
Well, Dolph Lundgren was on screen, not for 5 minutes, but Randor was on screen for more than 5 minutes. Dolph Lundgren was a elder gym bro who was helping Adam learn to pump.
I mean, here's the thing. As a shout out, that's still a solid shout out. That's like when Ted and what's his name run into Flash Gordon at a Hollywood party.
Right. But in this, the advice Dolph Lundgren also gives him doesn't just apply to the gym; it also applies to him as being the actor who's playing He-Man.
Right.
It's one of those kind of things. So let's talk about how we're introduced to Prince Adam in the movie. So he tells his backstory on Eternia, getting all the way back to Earth, and where is he narrating this to? Where do you think he's narrating this to?
It's either the HR department or it's his shrink.
No, and no, but the shrink is
Wow.
referenced later. It's a girl he's on a date with.
Okay, that's a choice.
It is, and I think the movie made the wrong choice in her reaction.
Did she look at him and laugh because he just claimed to be an alien prince from a faraway land?
No, she said, "I have to go," and he's like, "I didn't hear your phone ringing," and she's like, "No, it didn't ring. I just have to go."
Yeah, that's not funny. That's just mean.
But again, this is Adam Glenn, who works at an HR company in the middle of California. Wouldn't it have been more interesting if she's, again, it's LA, it's like going, dude, this guy's really fucking creative. He might sell this as a cartoon or something to somebody. I at least need to string him along for a little while. See if this goes somewhere.
Look. There are basically two ways to do it. The first is the one that I proposed, which is she looks at you and she laughs and she takes her leave because you're ridiculous. Now that hurts, but that is at least the believable response because most people would look at you if you're just sitting around and say, I'm an alien prince, and they'd be like, sure, buddy. The other one is essentially we'll call it the Hancock response, right? If you remember at the very beginning of the movie Hancock, you look at her, you say, I'm an alien prince from another world, and she's like, take me, you alien monster man.
Yeah.
And it suggests that even though his life might be mundane, Prince Adam has at least lived an okay life, a more humble life.
And Adam goes to his roommate, who makes fun of him for telling the girl about all this stuff. And he has all sorts of drawings and pictures of the various characters and settings and whatnot. And this is after, the backstory we had to escape Eternia. And he names all the characters, but it's not their actual names. Like Ram Man is actually not Ram Man in the initial narrative of the movie, but he later just decides to go with it. That was a weird choice. It's a very weird choice, but
see, again, I have to make this comparison, but I'm going to make a comparison to the original film, not the Ted joke. That just strikes me as off tone as the football scene in Flash Gordon. You remember Flash Gordon?
I love Flash Gordon.
You remember how they get brought before Ming, and while they're being menaced by an alien conqueror,
yeah,
they proceed to fight the guards, but they don't really fight the guards so much as Flash Gordon treats it like he's dodging guys on a football field, and it's a little mini music video in the middle of the movie.
Yeah. And
frankly, it's one of the shittier parts of that movie.
Well, I mean, it all depends on your perspective.
Sure, but I'm just saying.
You understand that movie, everybody except for the guy who played Flash Gordon understood they were playing a B-movie character.
Right. No, I get that.
And the Flash Gordon guy, he was trying all out, so that's why I like that scene. But
what I'm getting at though is that it's like, okay, here's a setting, here's a context, here's something serious. What is our main character going to do? Our main character is going to take it not very serious and not really actually believe that the context is real, because he won't believe it until the last act, when he will find himself and become a hero. And it's like, yeah, I've seen that story. I'm not a fan of that story. Why do you keep trying to feed me that story?
Oh no, Adam takes this deadly serious because he lost the sword when he came to Earth. And he's been trying to find it his whole life on Earth.
Okay.
So anyway, we see his HR office where you know, I have the power is one of the mantras at the HR office, which yes, yes. But I was at least amused at that because they were taking the piss out of HR.
Right, but this is what I was saying before in our side conversation, or maybe it was last show. This Taika Waititi tongue in cheek, nudge nudge, wink wink. Hey, we said the thing does get very tiresome.
Well, it's actually again, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a weird Office Spacey kind of thing. The way it plays out.
Right.
He finds his sword. Also, it's revealed that he's been drawing these characters obsessively since he was transported to Earth from onto Oklahoma from Eternia. He
Wait. He's in Oklahoma?
no, he's from Oklahoma, and then he went to California.
But why? Here's the thing. I understand Prince Adam was a kid at some point and probably had a kid's life, but why would you not parse a movie called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe,
Mhm.
right? Why would you not present this as like the opening to Commando?
Because these people don't understand how to be awesome.
Well, even if they're doing well, you kind of agree. Like He-Man on Earth should be working on a mountainside with a chainsaw carrying giant logs, right?
Yes, but anyway, he finds his sword. He goes to a nerd consignment shop. He asks various men if they have his sword in a way that is meant to appear to be very gay.
Yeah.
And then the sword is being used on a full scale prop of something. He mounts the prop to try to pull the sword out. He can't pull it out. He then gets arrested by the police, but his touching the sword alerted the bad guys, and Beast Man is doing a rampage on a urban street. Tila,
Beast Man gonna Beast Man?
Beast Man gonna Beast Man, absolutely. And I'm like going, why didn't you open with this? And then you do the. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Well, because again, even though people want to shit on the canon films, like you said, it depends on your perspective. Canon films starts its fever dream with the armies of Skeletor sweeping over the kingdom. They understood that when you have to manage budget and you have to manage storytelling and you want people to understand what they're in for, you start as close to the hyper violence and the ray guns as you possibly can.
Yes. So Tila gets the sword. Tila takes him back to his spaceship, and he goes, I told you. I told all of you. Well, not you specifically, but you represent other people. And I really annoyed because I wrote something like this, but what I wrote was better. Do you remember what I wrote that was like this?
Vaguely. You send me a couple of things every now and again.
So I wrote a story called Iron Field. It's about it's about a boy in
the thing we've been talking about recently.
We've talked about some other ones, but Iron Field is about the superhero on TikTok.
Yeah.
And he lifts something up while he's being watched on the internet that's impossible. Then he goes, in your face, internet. Why? Because the internet's there. He's saying in your face to the internet. Then they go to Eternia, which is turned into Detroit. Not literally, but figuratively turned into Detroit.
Right.
Adam finds the masters of the universe and the surviving people. They don't really trust him. Man at Arms has become a broken old man because fighting with the resistance is taking its toll on him. And yes, Joe, this is Prince Adam comes back, gives Man at Arms something to believe in, so he could be the Man at Arms he always was.
Here's the thing. If you really wanted to evoke 80s, if you really wanted to be an 80s movie, right?
You needed more cocaine.
Not you needed more cocaine, but the opening you just outlined, the opening you say, why didn't they just do this? I've seen that opening in a movie. Do you remember the first Critters movie?
I do. I love the first Critters movie.
I love the Critters series. I've got it. And what happens? Alien spaceship is being menaced by other alien spaceship and crashes on Earth. And it's very much like the opening of E.T., which was the intention. They were doing an E.T. knockoff.
Mhm.
What if E.T. was a dangerous alien, right? But
Mhm.
the very next thing that happens, right, is the bounty hunters arrive, and the bounty hunters are cool and interesting for budget sci-fi, right?
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, so how does this go? You sure we'll keep the early stuff, but He-Man touches the sword. This sends out a signal into space, right?
Mhm.
And you have Teela arrives, and Teela has to look for He-Man, right? And so you have He-Man get back to his apartment, and suddenly there's this vivacious woman in a costume that's like, Prince Adam, you have to come with me. And he's like, okay, who sent you? Who paid you? What is this? This is not my birthday, guys. This is not okay.
But they did something smart. They established a
Right.
childhood nickname. She says the nickname.
Right.
That's how he realizes it's actually Teela.
Right. And that's when Beastman catches up, and you suddenly have the violence.
Yes.
Right. Because that's how you do that story. Is it's like you don't understand. It's a race against time. They're after you now.
But yeah. So He-Man uses the sword, beats Trapjaw.
Yep.
But then the bad guys sneak up on him, break the sword, capture everybody. They're in the prison. It's the lowest moment. Then Prince Adam gives like a heroic speech to rally the troops, and then they force their way out. And then He-Man and Skeletor fight. And it's a psychic battle. And that's why Skeletor looks like the manager from Office Space.
What?
Yes, because Skeletor in that psychic battle is trying to make He-Man think he doesn't have the power.
See, here's the thing. Again, the Canon Films He-Man film at the 11th hour has Skeletor at his most powerful in this absolutely ridiculous ensemble worthy of Big Trouble in Little China, and it has ultra powerful He-Man, and they sword fight, and it's all very stylized because again, budget, right? But Skeletor is defeated and falls off of a thing because Star Wars, and you think he's dead until the end of the movie, but you still end with a feel good thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not at the end yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Skeletor and He-Man have a psychic battle, and the psychic battle is welcome back to your office life with HR man Skeletor doesn't give me that good feel in my belly. That gives me an annoyance in my brainial.
Well, no, because we still have the good hunk of the movie left, where He-Man realizes that he has the power inside. I mean, I hate it that this is lifted from Taika Waititi. What are you, the god of hammers?
Yeah.
Then he becomes He-Man again. He reforges the sword through sheer force of his He-Man-ness. He defeats Skeletor, but instead of giving him a fait accompli, he says, "Let's talk. look, Skeletor, I know, and he gives him like a positive HR talk, and he's trying to encourage Skeletor to be his best self.
This is
Skeletor,
He-Man, not Steven Universe. We don't settle our problems by talking them out.
hold
for
up,
fuck's
hold
sake.
up, hold up, hold up. You're jumping the gun, because Skeletor, he's a bad guy. He says, "I like being bad. I like
Right.
doing bad things.
Right.
It makes
And-
me feel good to do bad things."
As you do, because he's Skeletor.
And then He-Man proceeds to brutally beat Skeletor. Then he
Well,
crushes
all right.
Skeletor's.
Important clarification. Is it a beating where Skeletor is still a credible threat, or is it a Hulk curb stomp puny god fight that we have seen done in 3 other movies?
It's kind of like that, but not exactly like that. Because the fight ends when He-Man crushes Skeletor's magical staff.
Right.
It explodes, and Skeletor becomes Skull.
Right.
And
so
then He-Man and the boys are together. They're laughing about, heroic war story kind of stuff. And Man-at-Arms says, "Listen, Adams, how are you, with your feelings?" He says, "Listen, if you ever have problems and you need to talk to your feelings, you can come talk to me, like you would if your dad was still around." Because Randor heroically dies to show Prince Adam that he really didn't care that he wasn't that he was like kind of a puny kid. He only cared that he believed in himself.
I'm disappointed now because the ultimate proof that this movie is not what it could have been is in that ending scene.
Yes.
So, spoilers for people who haven't seen the movie, like you aren't already spoiled. They do a Marvel style after credit endo movie scene where Evil Lynn picks up Skeletor's skull and looks evil before it goes to black. This was the wrong play. I will now tell you what the right play should have been, Larry. Prince Adam destroys the staff. Evil Lynn, offside, screams, "No!" And you think for a moment that it's because she is romantically involved with Skeletor, who gets exploded. Right? You then go, the ending follows as the ending is given. You go to the end, and there's Skeletor's skull just laying there on the ground. And a white viscous hand picks it up and lifts it Hamlet-like to the face of Hordak, because destroying Skeletor's staff has released the monster.
I mean, that is something that they should have done.
That's what they should have done.
But the problem is they didn't have the She-Ra rights back yet.
Of course, it all comes down to rights.
But they were able to do knockoff Horde troops for Skeletor,
which is appreciable. We appreciate that the troops he's using are former Horde.
So the issues with the movie is the actors did a good job, but there wasn't a skeleton of a story that really worked.
I saw what you did there.
You were welcome. You're welcome.
In matter of point, because I have been very scowly at this as you have described it. I want to be very clear. For Hollywood, there are 2 ways to go. Western man. One is to be Zendaya, who famously recently photographed herself looking like an unmade bed at a bookstore, holding up Dune in one hand and the Odyssey in the other, and looking confused.
Well, I mean, she had Wilson's translation of the Odyssey. I can understand why she's confused.
Right, but this is also like the woman who's playing Supergirl, basically low-key mocking you for liking this material. Right? And then you have the other way, the better way, which is the actor who's playing Prince Adam, right, putting on a wig and singing "What's Going On" evoking the He-Man meme of yore.
Yes.
And
So,
whether I like the movie or not, I appreciate that the actors involved at least are like, yeah, watch this movie, like it, don't, whatever. I give you this meme.
so let me talk about one of the problems in the production design of this movie.
Yeah.
What is there you need to understand about He-Man to be able to get a He-Man story? What is it you need to understand?
Man, that's difficult. That's a difficult, multifaceted question.
So first, there is the titular He-Man.
Right.
He's got a magic sword that turns him from not He-Man into He-Man. There's a bad guy. You know he's a bad guy because he's got a skull for a head. Bad guy has henchmen. Henchmen and bad guy want power. Power is secured in a Castle Grayskull that's in a magical kingdom. Do you need anything else to? Do you need to understand anything else to have a He-Man story?
As a pedant, my brain says you do need to explain that this is also a science fiction on some level.
I mean, sure, but you have like science fiction bullshit in the background.
Yeah.
It's like there were a lot of people who were confused when Battle Angel Alita came out. Well, what's the deal with the floating city? It's got more important technology. They throw it at the people in the bottom. It's people living in the city of garbage from the advanced super city.
Yeah.
You didn't need that to be told to you in the movie because it was explained by the things that were happening in the movie.
Yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, like, maybe this is the thing that is confusing, and this is why I mention it. People don't seem to grasp that Skeletor doesn't just want to conquer Eternia, and he doesn't just want penultimate cosmic power, although those are totally things he wants, right?
Mhm.
But that the target goal is, once I have the power of the universe, I'm going to leave this backwater rock and conquer the rest of the galaxy.
Mhm.
Right? This is why in some versions of the story, Randor was a captain before he was king.
Yes.
Because he had a spaceship. This is why there was a short-lived sci-fi version of He-Man, a continuing adventures series that was science fiction oriented. As you say, we can use visual storytelling. You can have the Horde troopers with swords and blaster weapons, kind of like the Slayers from Krull, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But you just need to make sure that people understand that it's like, yeah, no, you having magic and swords and having advanced super tech alongside each other is not an invalidation of your setting.
No.
Because if you leave out the super science, then you're just watching Beastmaster. Which I mean, okay, I like Beastmaster, but
so the movie focused too much on being about the fans without being for the fans.
That is probably a very concise description, and that is a very subtle difference a lot of people would miss.
And it was trying to be for contemporary audiences while still in a framing that wasn't contemporary. But a lot of people are like going, man, this was a good movie. Well, no, it wasn't ass. And that's the thing. Movies have been so ass for so long, people don't understand the difference between ass and not ass. What I will say for this movie is it's saving grace for people who have YouTube shows. Is there's lots of stuff to talk about in it. And
I mean, isn't this what I've basically been talking about with comics for the last 5 years?
Yeah.
That if you drive the bar down low enough, elevating it halfway from its original starting place is not better. It's just less bad.
And people are comparing it to Transformers 1 and Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which was terrible. Now let me use.
Of the two, I suspect Honor Among Thieves is worse.
But let me get into the whole
Yeah.
point. So, Joe, what does it take to explain the Forgotten Realms?
You don't. Not you don't make the movie. You don't explain the Forgotten Realms.
You remember what they did in the D&D movie?
Which one?
The one with Chris Pine.
I mean, they didn't explain the Forgotten Realms, but they did try to do a bunch of world building stuff.
So they kind of explained it. They half-ass explained it.
It's worse in the original D&D movie because they try to give you a full 5-minute introductory scroll about the Forgotten Realms. And it's like, don't do that either. Good God.
Just have people doing an action movie in sword and sorcery stuff. That's all you need.
Here's the thing. In Honor Among Thieves, they start with a in media res scene with Chris Pratt as a Harper, but we don't know what the Harpers are. Chris Pine. Chris Pine as a Harper. We don't know what Harpers are. And then we have a barbarian, but we don't know what the barbarian's problem is. And then they're getting arrested, but we don't know why. And then they're getting thrown in jail, but they're breaking out of jail. All of these things very quick, very, very, very frenetic. And again, it would sound like it's online with what I'm saying, how you don't explain the Forgotten Realms, but that's not what I mean. Okay? What I mean is that the framing device of a fantasy setting has to be internally consistent, right? So
which
that
the Forgotten Realms isn't even under the best case scenario.
Right. If you're going to do a story, say, set in Waterdeep, okay, you have to do it almost like a Powerpuff Girls introduction. The city of Waterdeep. Okay, what's in the city of Waterdeep? Masked lords and wizards. Okay, what are the masked lords and the wizards about? Here's some problems. Okay, we have problems. Who's going to deal with these problems? Then you get to here's Chris Pine, and he's a Harper. What's a Harper? And you have to spoon feed us these things one at a time, but you don't explain the overall setting. You don't need a behold the Dungeon and Dragons Forgotten Realm TM Honor Among Thieves TM World TM, because that shit won't fly.
But they kind of did that,
right?
Whereas with He-Man, as I was pointing out, you get a He-Man, you get him on a flying jets thing in the air with his sword, and he's bouncing lasers from Triclops back at him. Then Triclops' thing goes and flies out of the air. You don't need more context to make that scene make sense. That's what I'm trying to get at.
All right. Let me come at this from another way, because I think we've probably seen at least one movie like this, but I'm gonna riff on something. You start the movie. You start with He-Man fighting a He-Man fight. Okay? Oh no, it is revealed that the big bad is going to do a big bad, and that the only person who can stop it is He-Man. Right? And He-Man puts together that the problem is they need the power sword to complete their evil plan. Right? So He-Man does the heroic sacrifice and appears to die.
Right? Yeah, but people gotta think about that Kevin Smith movie.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying. And then you do the isekai swap. Prince Adam is on Earth. Prince Adam is on the side of a mountain chainsawing trees. Right? Why? Because this is where the sword sent him. This is where he is. This is where he is going to live out his days in hiding to prevent the sword from falling into the hands of evil.
I mean,
Right.
that would have been a better way to do it than what they did.
Right. Well, because the thing is that now you know the exact key points you need. You have He-Man. You understand He-Man is Prince Adam. You understand that he is a hero who is fighting for his kingdom, and you understand that he has come here to hide out, Jedi-like, if you
Mhm.
will.
Mhm.
Right. Until the day Tila arrives and says, He-Man, we need you. Things have gotten even worse. Right?
But they turning into Space Detroit. It's even worse than that.
Right. And that's the thing, is that now what you basically have, even if you do kind of edge close to that Kevin Smith debacle, is more like a He-Man comes out of retirement for one more fight story, right? And when you ask the question, well, what's the doubt? What is he trying to come to terms with? It's like he doesn't know if he still has the power. Oh, he's got the sword. He can summon the form, the might. But does he have the heart anymore?
Now, this would have been an interesting movie if they went with Randor dying and all of that for He-Man to become King Adam or King He-Man.
Right. Exactly.
But let me go to Transformers 1 is another option. Transformers 1 was all focused about the backstory of Optimus Prime and Megatron and how they became their respective characters. And so you have to explain, well, what's Autobot and Decepticon society like? And it's basically, space capitalism with robots.
Right.
And the Decepticons want to do space communism, but they're also kind of evil because, space communism is evil.
Yeah.
And again, it's too complicated. As opposed to, we got one set of giant robots fighting another set of giant robots over energy. Go.
I mean, let's call it what it is. Orson Welles had the right of it when you're talking about Transformers as our guideline.
Mhm.
When famously, just before he died, Orson Welles was asked what he thought of having voiced Transformers, which he thought was basically the worst thing he had ever done. And he said, it's a story about a giant toy that comes to Earth to fight other toys. That is 100% correct.
Not just that. It murders other toys.
Right. It's oddly enough, it is the same sort of energy as Alec Guinness talking about Star Wars. Alec Guinness hated working for Star.
But Alec Guinness also said, this might fucking work.
Right.
He was smart enough to say this might fucking work, so I'm gonna put it in my contract that I get a percentage if it works.
Right, but he was not unclear about his position. He's like, look, I was Prince Faisal in Lawrence of Arabia. I'm a real actor. This is me slumming it for a paycheck. And that's the same energy that Michael Caine brought to Jaws, which he has never seen, but he has seen the house it bought.
So a lot of people in our space have a lot of complicated feelings about He-Man, but I really think that showing this in theaters was a mistake.
Yeah,
I don't
that.
I don't think that whatever they could have gained from theaters, especially considering that the marketing was poor, albeit most of the marketing budget was in those giant popcorn tubs of Castle Grayskull and the giant drink swords.
I want to be clear. I am not the only person who is asking the question, can I use this for a mini for D&D?
I mean, I would totally do that with a Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, other people are talking about that on the Twitch space and going, should I get this and use it for a mini? It's actually cheaper overall than buying minis in the store.
So what has come across your desk?
Oh, what has come across my desk? Let me address my thing. I mean, obviously, a lot of inconsequential stuff. Good stuff in gaming, oddly enough. A couple of good games have come out today. Like literally today. But let me dig into my thing. Oh, also, for anybody who's watching, go to YouTube and if you want to feel good, if you want to warm the cockles of your heart, Mr. Rogers is free on YouTube. All of it. It has been officially added to YouTube. Yes, I ended up reading of all things old Marvel. Marvel from about 6 years ago. And basically I have learned why we had such a dark era of comics. So I had to read, for reasons, the King in Black, a multi-comic event in which the symbiote god Null attacks Earth, and it was bad. It was a bad time, because it's basically a uh
No, don't you mean we already have Galactus at home? Why do you need Galactus?
yeah, actually, I was gonna make jokes about the Transformer giant robot that Orson Welles played, but no, you're right. It's we have Galactus at home. Because the thing is that Galactus at least brings that sense of grand tragedy and drama to his actions.
You know who
Right?
could have played Galactus really well if he was
Who?
alive when they made it?
Whom?
Orson Welles.
Yes. Here's
Unironically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But here's the thing. You have Galactus come down, right? You have the Silver Surfer fly out and scan the planet, right? And as Galactus is preparing the device, he's just like, "Woe it is that another world must die under Galactus's watch. Another civilization thrown to the pyre of this damnable hunger." Right? Because the secret is that Galactus is not actually a bad guy. Galactus is a cosmic constant who has to do what he must to survive, because that's the only thing that matters anymore at that level of power, at that level of age, right? He doesn't want to do it. He's got to do it. It's like, if you had no food in your house, would you steal a sandwich? You fucking would. And if somebody said, "But if you steal that sandwich, someone else will die," you will agonize over that choice. But it's on a cosmic scale, right? Null the symbiote god is, I was here before existence. All of this is anathema to me. My mission is cosmic cleansing. Which also means he's also a nihilist, by the way. Because remember, a nihilist is from the negative zone, wants to conquer all of known reality and destroy it. Right? But all of this is because Null essentially is also, as a third, is Diet Dormammu. He wants to absorb everyone into his symbiote hive mind and then overwhelm their personalities so that everything becomes silence again. Whew. Right? And the thing is that I had to read through these books on a quest to find a small page where he fights Doctor Doom. And it wasn't even there. It was in a Godzilla comic of all things, which is worse. And
I
the
mean,
thing
at least
is,
it was a Godzilla comic. You at least had Godzilla there.
Yes, but the idea of Godzilla doing a Godzillaing is great. The idea of what if Godzilla became an evil symbiote is fucking retarded. Right? Which was the other thing that I found in this this King in Black run was Logan and Conan the Barbarian broing it around in modern New York fighting symbiotes. Do you know how much that hurt me to say? Conan should not be in modern New York. I know they did a What If comic in the 80s that was that. What if Conan was in the modern day? But
No,
it
no,
was a
no.
What If comic.
No, Joe. They did a What If comic with Wolverine going back to Samaria.
Which was also good as a What If.
Well, wait, hold up. And it had Conan being on the moon when Jean Grey turned to the Dark Phoenix, and because Logan was back in Samaria, not Samaria, was back in the Hyborian Age, the Marvel Universe ended. And the Watcher famously said, "Crom."
I don't want to live on this planet anymore, Larry.
And in that What If comic, we had Wolverine and Red Sonja going off and having adventures. What? Wolverine and Red Sonja work as a team.
No, they do. But the thing is like, again, you're describing these were What If comics back in the day when that was a What If. And I just keep thinking about, and then we have a modern comic that is a mainstream Marvel event where Conan is palling around with Logan fighting symbiotes.
Look, Marvel needed to make whatever money they could on Conan before they lost the license.
Yeah. On the other hand, oddly enough, I also read a Solomon Kane book recently.
Nice.
It's not the greatest, but it has a Conan tie-in that's pretty good. It's Solomon Kane is doing a Solomon Kaning as a privateer for the Queen. When a guy dies under his watch and he feels bad about it, so he decides to bring the guy's last words to his family. Right?
Which is pretty Solomon Kane.
And he gets roped into an adventure that takes them into deepest, darkest Africa, as is a Solomon Kane.
Hold up. I just had a thought. You know who could have been a really good Solomon Kane in the 80s?
Whom?
Christopher Walken. Like the same level of acting Christopher Walken brought to Stephen King's Dead Zone.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is I'm rolling around in my head and I'm leaning way back and I'm like, yeah. If he took the cheese and he turned it down to a 3.
I mean, that would be the problem, though. It is Walken. Walken might say, no, we need to go to at least a 7.
Walken would say, we need more cowbell. But either way, roped into this treasure hunt he didn't want to go on to protect the honor of a woman he's afraid for while he was trying to do right by this family. They encounter the final degenerate remnants of a cult of the serpent, which ties right into Cole the Conqueror, but it is actually connected to Conan because this cult is held together by the worship of Set, though they don't realize it's necessarily Set, using the ring of the serpent that Thoth Amon has. So they're using an ancient Stygian sorcerer's ring to channel the power of Set in a monstrous African tribe. And Solomon Kane is basically roped into going off and being an adventurer because they're going to steal all their golden loot. And it's like, yeah, this is a pretty solid Solomon Kane story. It doesn't work out for them, by the way.
It doesn't.
Well, there's the thing. That's the thing of a lot of Howard flavored stuff. If you really look at it, more often than not, they don't get the treasure.
No.
Right? More often than not, it's not that Conan stories end with bad endings or even downer endings, but they end with and life goes on endings.
And that's why Gary wanted everybody to be broke in D&D.
Well, with that in mind, I gotta mention it. I got on a playtest today for a dumb game. We all think simulator games are trash, but this one's actually funny to me.
Mhm.
I have acquired a game called Gate Guard Simulator. It's Papers, Please, but it's medieval.
Okay.
You are a medieval gate guard, and you are the replacement for your predecessor who has most likely met the headsman.
Mm-hmm.
And your job is to screen people at the behest of your supervisor, and every 3 days there will be a review of how well you're doing. Right? So people have to bring you their papers to get access to the city. You have to check them for contraband, and you have to search them for disease and the like, right? And sometimes the demands get ridiculous. Like the king just died, he's been replaced by a 6-year-old, and the first demand that the 6-year-old king has is that certain vegetables are not allowed in the kingdom because he's 6 years old and he doesn't like his greens, right? But the thing of it is that I was talking to this I'm talking about this with my friend Ty, and I went on a bit of a tear explaining how much taxation goes into getting to get through a door into a town in a medieval setting, and how much of that is an explicit expectation of a Gygaxian D&D story, right? Because Ty was actually like, what, do people really need papers to travel in the medieval world? I'm like, yes, they did. The fear of foreign agitators and fire by anarchists was a real deal.
It was.
And I even pointed out that in the medieval world, and indeed, if you're doing D&D right, a fantasy world, yeah, the gate fee to get in is 2 silver, but you're gonna pay 3. Because why wouldn't the guard pocket the extra to line his pouch if he has to stand at that gate all goddamn day?
I mean, because his king paid him.
Yeah, if you live in a lawful good society and your king pays on the regular and the economy isn't depressed.
I mean, or if you live in a chaotic good society or neutral good society.
Sure. And of course, if your guard himself is not some level of neutral evil shitbag who's just trying to make a little bit easier on the side.
And I'd also say a lawful neutral society also wouldn't encourage bribery.
Certainly not. But but then it's you have other things that I was bringing up, like you're just a base adventurer, and it's like, okay, so that's like a social setting. And it's like, no, you're a base adventurer. You're some wandering dink. You show up at a town. You have no business there. You have hopefully money, right? And you are an armed, unlicensed stranger. Yeah, we're checking your papers, and you're going to have to pay for a peace bond before you even come in. And you still have to pay the gate fee like everyone else.
So I ran across something interesting in Twitter, and I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah.
Oh, my sweet summer child. Do you really think Dave wrote Kanan? He's a cheap amalgamation of Kyle Katarn and Ram Koda. Dave Filoni is a hack that can't make anything original without undermining everything else. He's a literal cancer that helped architect the shitty sequels. So what do you think about this idea that all the better ideas that Dave Filoni has are just ideas of George's he put in a blender, or EU ideas that he put in a blender?
I'm gonna drop a response I gave to a post about Korra of all things. I said the cope is real.
I mean, because Dave Filoni apparently in some of his early script work called Kanan Katarn.
Right, but here's the thing. All right. Again, my avatar quote very quickly. The Cope is desperate. She went from she's perfect, you're just a bigot, to okay, she's not perfect, but you just don't understand, to okay, the story is like really deep and designed to contrast Aang. Korra was terrible, everyone knows. In that same sense, here we have Dave Filoni dealing with Kanan, right? It used to be everything that is wrong is Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Well, now Kathleen Kennedy's not there to bitch about anymore. So now everything has to be Dave Filoni's fault, right?
I mean, yeah.
But here's the thing. Let's assume that is so. Dave Filoni wanted to use Kyle Katarn. They wouldn't let him, so he had to make a stand-in.
Well, it's not that they wouldn't let him per se.
Isn't it, though? Because if Kyle Katarn already existed, they would have to pay out to somebody who made that. There'd be a royalties issue.
So here is what would have to happen. And we know this is what would have to happen because they got the rights for Thrawn. And Timothy Zahn has spoken a little bit about what that took. So there is the popular belief, which Disney holds true, is that the EU contracts were not written well. The rights contracts in the EU documents and stuff was not written well.
I mean, that might actually be true. I'm open to that being a possibility.
So they created a new IP license when they brought Thrawn into Dave Filoni's joints, and later into the Star Wars live action series. So to bring back Kyle Katarn, they would have to do that. But the further problem is Kyle Katarn was featured frequently. In addition to in books, he was also in video games. So the rights are actually scattered among multiple sources. So Disney would have to pay off multiple sources and then create a new license for a new version of Kyle Katarn.
Right. And so they looked at Dave Filoni and said, make a different character. Make a replacement character.
Yeah. And
here's the thing. How is that Dave Filoni's fault?
I mean, I don't think it is Dave Filoni's fault, but here's what Kathleen Kennedy said. And I have this from a source in Disney.
We have sources.
I don't have many sources, but my source in Disney said that when asked about the extended universe, she said to the creative team that she had under her, if you guys want to use anything from the extended universe, let me know. We'll make it happen. We'll have the lawyers. We'll write things up. We'll pay whatever.
Okay.
And then they proceeded to never pay for any of that, or have lawyers do any of that until later with Star Wars Rebels.
Right, but here's the thing. Let's assume that was true. Mm-hmm. Okay. One, is Kathleen Kennedy actually the final voice, or does she answer to bosses?
She does. She answers to the Disney board of directors.
Right. So she said, guys, they really want to use this stuff. And the board of directors said, no, we don't want to pay out for more.
Oh, we already... my source was sufficiently connected enough to know that they didn't ask for anything until Thrawn came up.
Right. So then the next thing is, okay, we didn't ask for anything until Thrawn came out. Basically, what if it's
Kathleen Kennedy gave them permission to do something that she knew they wouldn't try to do.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at. It's like they had permission, they didn't do it. Okay, why didn't they do it? If it's not because Kathleen Kennedy had bosses who didn't want to do it, then why did nobody want to talk to Kathleen about it?
Well, Kathleen believed that they should focus more on all the IP that's created under the Disney Star Wars umbrella so that they can maximize their profit.
Right. So basically they've been told, yes, you can do this thing, but all of our approved business, it says otherwise.
Yes. So it's a classic speaking through both sides of your mouth.
Right. And again, the question becomes, how is that Dave Filoni's fault?
Oh, that is the question I was wanting to just talk about.
If he can get things done under these untenable conditions, we shouldn't be chewing him out for not meeting our arbitrary demands. We should be like, thank you, you did really well. Could you please do better now? Because again, as you have pointed out, the mango and grok was them trying to scuttle him.
Yep. I mean, after you watched it and thought about my comments, that's the only thing that really makes sense, isn't it?
That's the thing. It's the only thing that makes sense. I don't like it, but I can't deny its internal logic is coherent.
Mhm.
Um,
But I would like to do something that I believe we may never have done before on the Gospel of Comics.
oh boy, without the guys here.
Well, without the guys here.
Well, real
What?
quick, can we mention? Speaking of things, did you see that post I made about the Sauron magic card?
Yes. We'll get to
Okay.
that one.
We'll get to that. Okay.
I believe we should have some time to get to that.
Yeah.
But there was some shocking news in the world of sports,
Oh my, sports.
which I was fired for admitting female NFL reporters trade sex for stories. Vrabel Rossini is the tip of the iceberg. This is what you should know. And remember at Gamergate? It was about an allegation of people trading sex. Oh, there we go. Really did. Oh, you son of a biscuit eater. The dumb. Give me a second.
Yeah, you argue with that, but yes, I do remember Gamergate. I do remember it being about that. Here's the thing. Oddly enough, I don't actually think that the trading of the sexual favors is the offensive part. It's the violation of journalistic integrity is what we should be concerned about.
Well, yeah. Here we go. Here we go. Is another article. Let's go with this one. Let me make sure I got the right things lined up here.
Well, the reason I say that is because I did see an interesting article today, but I'll wait till after this subject.
Here we go.
To mention that.
Disgusting, worst kept secret. NFL world reacts to reporters' bombshells amid blah 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 blah. Reporter Chrissy Fraud exposing the culture of corruption around the league. In an article in the Daily Mail, Fraud wrote that at least a half a dozen female reporters have told her that they have had sex with NFL staff, and this is not uncommon for reporters to trade sex for stories. She also revealed that she heard about the alleged Mike Vrabel, who was a coach, Deanna Rossini relationship 6 years ago. Fraud in her article for the Daily Mail opens up about losing her sports writing job at USA Today based on her response to the Vrabel Rossini scandal. Now she isn't mincing words about what some of her peers in the NFL have plenty to say about the piece. Blah, 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 blah. It's disheartening that nobody was interested to hear about this story, that reporters were regularly trading sex, and that was one of the key Gamergate allegations, is that the person who made Depression Simulator was
Zoe Quinn.
Zoe Quinn was having sex with people to get good reviews for her games.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the further evidence of corruption in the media, which is an agency that's primarily designed to report on corruption and keep it from happening?
Well, I mean, obviously, we have the classic standby of who monitors the monitors, as ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The third estate present themselves as the monitors, and then nobody monitors them.
Well, they're the fourth estate, but yeah.
Or the fourth estate. Who's the third estate again?
It was peasants, wealthy people, in the church.
Yeah, but the church is the second estate, isn't it?
Yeah, the poor people are the first, rich people are the third.
Ah, okay. I had it backwards. I thought the rich people were the first estate and the poor people were the third, the bottom.
The biggest base of the pyramid is the first, then the second.
Okay.
Then...
Either way, the thing is that I don't actually, however, think that these are quite the same thing, and that's not a double standard, right? Zoe Quinn was fucking guys for reviews, for positive scores on end results.
Mhm.
Right? These are young women basically selling their bodies to roided out gym bros who make $1 million deals just so they'll talk to them. It doesn't actually necessarily mean that the story is going to be good unless you're telling me that they're sleeping with their bosses to get their stories on the front page, which
Well,
would be
no.
a different thing.
Well, no, because NFL coaches want to plant stories, and a really good way to plant a story is to plant it with a reporter. If you get what
If I know
laying
what you
down.
mean.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. All I'm putting down is it doesn't quite taste the same, but it is unethical, and I think that's what we really need to address here is the lack of ethics in journalism, where people are more interested in getting results than they are asking whether or not this is ethical conduct. Oddly enough, because it's the meat and potatoes of dramas, lawyers are more ethical at this juncture than reporters.
Yes.
Because they might do some underhanded shit and they might represent some truly awful people, but they are required by law, by the bar, to do so with the highest level of scrupability.
Although although lawyers have developed means to get around scruples.
Sure, as happens all the time. The interesting article thing that I saw earlier that I mentioned I had seen a thing. Apparently in Seattle, I didn't know this, they've legalized prostitution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's caused a gang war. Because pimps are now fighting for control of turf for ideal places for young women to sell their bodies.
Okay.
And the reason I find it interesting is not just because people are now protesting the gang war and saying we need to stop this, but most of the other respondents, like myself, are saying the problem is not the prostitution, the problem is the pimps. If you're going to legalize prostitution, that's great. Make it legally accountable. Have houses of prostitution, have them be up to code, have them be safe and clean for user and user interface, right? And bring the hammer down on pimping.
Also, maybe have a prostitutes union.
The weirdest thing.
But
I feel that that's relevant not in the broad stroke, but in the sense that it is essentially the same. It's like if you want reporters to be ethical, we need to create an environment where they are not encouraged to be unethical. Not necessarily just unilaterally say we can't have these reporters being unethical. It's like, well, of course they are. Why do they feel the need to parlay sex favors for stories?
Because it works.
Right, but it shouldn't work. That's the thing. We need to create an environment where that doesn't work, and then people won't do that.
But speaking about prostitution, we've already talked about how MGM ruined He-Man. They're also planning to ruin the Stargate franchise. Have you been keeping up on that?
Yes, and it's a giant nothing sandwich to me, but it is funny to see.
Well, there are several aspects.
Layers.
There's layers. It's like an onion or a parfait.
Yeah, it is.
So they tried to do a fresh reboot of Stargate for modern audiences. That was a prequel. Didn't work real well because no one gave a shit.
Yep.
And they came up with an idea to bridge old fans, new fans, old story, new story, and all the original cast that were still alive were interested in getting involved.
Right.
And Amazon is afraid that that wouldn't work. They didn't. They wanted to do a
the
fresh
wrong kind of
continuity.
fan. The wrong kind of fan would get involved, you know.
Yeah, but Amazon was concerned that it'd be easier to just do a fresh, fresh rip continuity. And I mean, they already introduced like alternate realities in Stargate, so you could just say it's an alternate reality. Slap the lazy multiverse label on it, and you just put that baby out.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Let's say, did you like the Stargate show, for example?
No, and that's part of the reason why this is so weird to me.
Why
So
didn't you like the Stargate show?
because Stargate is fucking bland as shit, middle of the road, non-science fiction. All right, so let's walk through this. So in the beginning, there was a Stargate movie.
Mhm.
Okay, had James Spader in it, had Kurt Russell in it, right? Based on the lamest conspiracy theory ever, Chariot of the Gods.
Which it wasn't
Right.
even really that based in Chariot of the Gods, but yes.
Right, but it's this idea that was very popular for half a day in the 90s that we just translated the Rosetta Stone entirely wrong, and if we went to science with new eyes, we'd discover that everything was different. And this translated to, we have a gate, we activate the gate, we wormhole to another planet, and pulp adventure. James Spader stayed with the people to teach them words. Kurt Russell stayed with the bomb to die. Okay. Spoilers for a movie none of you have seen. And they said, okay, we've got the license. We're gonna do a follow-up mini-series movie on Showtime called Stargate. And it was okay. I didn't see it in its original run. But it was popular enough they said, we're gonna syndicate it and make it a TV show. And what do we got? We have MacGyver.
Who was not acting like MacGyver.
Right, because Harry Dean Anderson's actually a good actor. He deserves more credit than he gets. But he was MacGyver. That's why they had him.
And he was apparently a prince among men to guest stars that were coming in.
Right. So, first and foremost, Stargate SG-1 ran a real long time. Its writers...
It ran so long they basically replaced the whole ass cast.
Right. Its writers were basically kids who liked other star fictions, including Star Trek, and several Star Trek alumni came over. They crossed the aisle, much like B5's alumni did, to show up on Stargate every now and again. I want to say John Delancey showed up once.
He did. The guy who played Jellicoe was a recurring villain.
Yeah. The thing is that in that same sense, Stargate lives from other science fictions all the time. Okay,
I mean, all science fictions do that.
Sure, but like the Ascendant are just the Q. Get fucked. It's like, put the Ori. It's like, I don't care. We know what they are. It's the Q meet the wormhole aliens through a puree. You weren't supposed to notice, but you did. You didn't notice it, but your brain did.
Also, they did a reference to Farscape in one of the later seasons because they brought the actor from Farscape
because they had lead. No, let's be clear. They had 2/3 of the Stargate or the Farscape cast on the show because it was not just the main guy.
Black.
It was also Claudia Black.
And God, she was so hot when she was younger.
Yeah. But either way, the thing is that Stargate knows it's not science fiction. It's actually an adventure show. And so their approach to science fiction is the Doctor Who way. It's timey-wimey bullshit. It's whatever we have to pull out of our ass to make the show work. Okay?
I mean,
always has been.
It's tech. It's actually more Star Trek tech.
Sure, if it's the most lazy incarnation of the technobabble. But there's the thing: is that let's be honest with ourselves. Technobabble was always lazy. It is always a postpartum remix to try and say, no, the technobabble is real science. It's not. It never was. Okay.
The only time that ends up happening is when scientists take technobabble and they're like, "Wait, would that work?"
Right. So with that in mind, okay, Stargate SG-1 I saw on syndication. I saw it in reruns on my Saturday afternoon before Star Trek. And you know what? It was okay. It was okay in reruns. I even like the later seasons when we start having spaceships and Michael Ironside is a space captain.
Yeah.
Okay? I liked it when it started becoming more of a space military adventure and stopped being creature of the week through a gate stories.
Did you like Atlantis when it became a space opera?
No, I fucking hated Atlantis because that's the problem with Stargate. Atlantis Plus is where it goes off the rails.
I didn't like Atlantis either.
So here's the thing. We're going to talk about the good part of Stargate Atlantis. Very, very young Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa was a lot better actor, and he
Right.
wasn't a polished actor, but he was a better actor back then.
So the thing is that Stargate Atlantis is, all right, we're going to open a new gate connection. We're going to go someplace we've never gone before. Oh no, something weird has happened. Oh no, we can't get back to Earth because we're stuck on Atlantis. We've got a gate, but we can't go back home. Right? Solid setup. Except by that point, the writing staff had become very comfortable with their own material and very certain that they could do anything and people would just keep making it. Right? So you have more and more characters who are actually voice boxes for the writers. Their science man, who's an acebric dick who does nothing but be obnoxious, right, is basically one of the writers sounding off about how much he's smart and doesn't like his boss. Okay? You have sexy characters with problems because this is a new cast entirely selected for the Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And rather than digging up some old established TV people, we're gonna have brand new actors, right?
Hey, at least it worked with Jason Momoa.
Right. Well, yeah, but they didn't know Jason Momoa was going to be a thing. Then once they found out he was a thing, and I think the character's name was Ronan, nudge, nudge,
Yeah.
wink, wink. Then it became basically the Jason Momoa show for a bit, right? There was a big push to get him in the advertising more because I knew he was a popular Boba Fett, right? But basically, Stargate Atlantis was not a science fiction. It was not an adventure show. It was a Sci-Fi Channel sitcom with a sci-fi skin designed to get asses in seats to make more money, right? And they ran that for what, 3 seasons, 4 seasons? I'm sure it actually got more like 7. I'm sure it ran for a while, but I was watching Andromeda at that point and not giving a shit about Stargate Atlantis. I also didn't like Eureka, and I didn't like the other show they brought in at the same time.
You didn't like Eureka?
No, Eureka is awful.
There's problems with Eureka.
Well, to be fair, because we're talking about late 90s, early 2000s Sci-Fi Channel, I did like Tremors the series, and I did like the what was it, the Lost Room, that miniseries with the guys finding the magic items. So it's not like everything Sci-Fi Channel did was shit, but I think some of their regular and returning series were not ideal. Either way, then they had, I never saw it because I actually thought it was being released to theaters because they had TV ads in the theater. It was very new at the time. I didn't realize it was for TV. Then they did Stargate Universe, which was, we're going to Stargate again, but we're going to go even farther out. And the writers were even more self-satisfied and smug. But someone was trying to pull the wheels a little bit because they said, "Hey, can we get an actual experienced actor?" So they had, I think it's Eric Carlisle as the bad, fresh off having showed up on 28 Days Later. or 28 months later, rather. But basically, Stargate is this artifact of pulp adventure, right? That got it hit the right people. It appealed to the right flavors. I'm not going to take that away from it, but it got way bigger than it ever should have, and a lot of people are putting it on this pedestal now. Like, Stargate was so good. How dare you? It's like Stargate was always half a fart, but you liked it, and that's okay, right? I respect that the original actors would have come back, right? I enjoy that Michael Shank is making fun of Amazon right now, right?
Yeah.
But I am not going to lie to myself and pretend that Stargate was good to get the views. It was never sacred. That's the thing. We seem to have this propensity to look at our pop media especially from our childhood and try to elevate it and make it better than it was. We were talking about He-Man earlier. He-Man is an Ascended toy commercial. It's not great. It's not good. I myself will say, as someone who used to watch the original He-Man, and I didn't watch all of it, I don't remember half of it. But it's like, was He-Man good? No, He-Man was ass. Mostly. I was a kid. I was also watching Smurfs. Does that mean that I think the Smurfs is the greatest thing from sliced bread? No, it's the fucking Smurfs. Okay? Was Stargate good? If you liked it, great. Was it good objectively? Probably not. It was Stargate. They were there to make money. Do you know what my favorite part of Stargate is? My actual favorite scene in Stargate?
What was your actual favorite scene in Stargate?
Dean Anderson and Tilk are stuck in a time loop.
Okay.
And the time loop is, I want to say, a couple of hours, right? And they even know how to get out of the time loop. But they decide, you know what? We're not going to get out of the time loop for a while. We're going to have fun with this. And so they're doing everything you would imagine you would do if you had a time loop you could control. They have romantic interactions with the female lead. They play golf.
I'd even go so far to say it was better than every time Star Trek did it.
Did what? The time bubble? Or
the time bubble. Every time Star Trek did it, they weren't really imaginative.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna make a comparison. This is not me being disingenuous. This is not me giving a take that. I'm just making the comparison. Star Trek is Star Trek, right? The Orville is the Orville.
Yes.
Is the Orville good? Yeah, maybe. For people that like it. Is it art? No, it'll never be art. Right? Should we then put it on the same pedestal as Star Trek? Well, no, and we should really be asking ourselves, should we be putting Star Trek on a pedestal to begin with? Because the Orville is to Star Trek what Stargate is to other science fiction shows at its time. It was just another show. I mean, if we have to give it some serious kudos, thank God it was better than Mutant X.
Yeah.
It was better. It was better than what the fuck was that? It wasn't Battlefield Earth. What was it? Earth Final Conflict.
Yeah.
It was better than Cleopatra 2525. There's a whole bunch of things. Stargate was better than.
Hey, it was better than Tech War.
Which is hilarious, because that's actually based on a book series ghost written by William Shatner.
I mean, no, somebody else ghost wrote it.
But it's important to bring up for the people at home that anytime you hear about something, quote, written by William Shatner, no, William Shatner paid someone else to write it for him. Like, when was that? Tech War came out at the same time as B5, didn't it? So that's DS9 era.
Yes. They also had time tracks.
Yes, at the same time as DS9, there was an explosion of competing sci-fi series, and on one channel there was Tech War, Time Tracks, and B5. And oddly enough, of the three, B5 was the one that survived the longest.
Because B5
Uh,
was better, and
well-
Straczynski was an established TV hand.
Well, here's the thing. Tech War just didn't hit, but it was early '90s or mid '90s cyberpunk. I think something like Tech War might hit now, but it just
Yes.
didn't have the wherewithal then. I don't think Tech War was bad.
The ideas of Tech War were
Right.
ahead of their time.
Time Tracks also wasn't bad, but they screwed Time Tracks in the crib by not parsing it well. Do you remember the setup for Time Tracks?
Cop from the future, bad guys tried to keep the future from existing.
No. It's actually the other way around. So, Time Tracks is kind of like a diet TV version of Time Cop, which then would go on to have its own series, ironically enough. In a super future where humanity is both a little more autocratic, because society has become more centralized, but also more technologically advanced. They've discovered time travel, and what it is bad guys are going back in time to get rich. They're trying to exploit time for crimes, right? So the Trax initiative is we're going to send back a super cop to get these guys, right? The thing is that the super cop and the super criminals are actually, for related to us, superhuman, but only slightly, right? It's like the Charles Atlas style of superpower, right? Where he's superhumanly strong, like a super soldier, but not outside the realm of human capacity.
Right.
Right? Where they screwed it up is one, they made it a police procedural, but not like a procedural like process, but like he's a cop, he partners up with a human from our time who's a love interest, and we're gonna have all the bits that a TV show requires.
All the
right?
standards.
And then they said because special effects are expensive, that even though the evil time travelers were continuing to arrive at sort of a staggered rate, so there's always going to be superhumans, our super cop is less super cop. He lost his superpowers basically because he was living in our time and eating our food and drinking our water. And it's like, oh, you took away the most interesting component of the character and made him just a dude. Fuck. And that killed Time Tracks. I stopped watching it at that point. But then again, I was also at that point watching a much better show that also didn't go on for very long. Do you remember Brimstone?
I love Brimstone.
I love Brimstone. That show needs a revival. Hollywood, give us Brimstone. I didn't realize that this episode of the Gospel of Comics was going to be Memberberry, the show. But here we are.
I mean, that's what He-Man has brought out, and a lot of people doing reviews of He-Man.
Is the Memberberries? Remember this?
They're doing the Memberberries, and it's because these people can't create new ideas. But we're gonna talk about some Memberberries from some people who can't create new ideas. Wizards on the Coast.
What have they done now?
What's the thing we were talking about earlier?
Okay.
You can rewrite DNA on the fly, and you're using it to turn people into dinosaurs. But with that tech, like you could cure cancer.
Wait, let me do this, Larry. But I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
But you can gain 3 life if you cure cancer, which
right.
Which is not a terrible thing in Magic the Gathering.
No, it is not.
But turning people into dinosaurs, put a Saurian counter on another target creature. It's a green dinosaur with the base power and toughness of 5/5 for as long as it has a Saurian counter on it. That is actually a better option in Magic the Gathering.
Well,
why is Wizards of the Coast agreeing with the supervillain?
I mean, look, you slap Sauron in a Sapperling deck, you put out a bunch of 1/1 Sapperlings, then you put on a bunch of dinosaur tokens, and you laugh at in 6/6 dinosaur.
And then you put wild growth on them.
Right? and I'm certain that if Church was here, he would say that my suggested answer is basic bitch tactics, and he would pull out something better immediately.
But all this kind of bullshit is why nobody wants to play Magic the Gathering anymore.
100% true. I have asserted such, actually. I have friends who compulsively collected the Doctor Who block and were super enthusiastic about Doctor Who, and I was like, this is not real Magic. And they're like, what do you mean it's not real Magic? It's Magic, it's by WotC. And I'm like, because real Magic would be a block with a setting and a story and characters, and this is only going to be played for this thing. This is for collectors. No one's going to play these cards. No one's going to play these Marvel cards long term. These mechanics will never appear again. I know that if Church was here, he would disagree with me. He would probably have something very wise to say, being he is our Magic man. But I just cannot be arsed to give a shit about, what's hot on the block this week. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. So anything else going on with like role-playing games and such?
I mean, besides that stupid thing I mentioned before the show about Brennan Lee Mulligan getting in the neck because he dared to have people succeed at a dice roll without rolling it.
If I were doing what the Critical Role people were doing, I would be having events that people could submit their games notes and have those events impact the world. Because I forgot that was what happened when Cadia fell. It was based on an actual tournament event. And they didn't think everybody would want to play Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I have blocked a number of people on YouTube. One of them is a gentleman named Announcer of Games, who has the genius take on this subject that if you don't like the current lore, you should just live with it, because it's not that Games Workshop does retcons, and it's not that the lore is wrong. You're wrong. It's in fact that the lore has outgrown you, and you should just, accept that.
I mean, that's a very rude way to express it.
Right. He also proceeded to describe what happened during the 13th Black Crusade. And when I say the 13th Black Crusade, you think, oh, the one that we just had. No, I mean the one in the 90s that actually happened. What it was...
Sounds like we need to get the Ordo Temporis on this problem.
Right. What happened was, in the 90s, Games Workshop flirted with competitive play, setting the tone of the story, right? And they were doing mail-in battle reports, right? You can already see how there are going to be problems with this in the early internet. And the basic assumption was that Order with the Space Marines would win. And they didn't. Chaos did. And I don't just mean destruction did, I mean Chaos won. And it's like, well, how did Chaos win? There was some chicanery, okay? But part of how the victory conditions were calculated was taken hold and essentially map destruction. So if you took a planet and then lost it, but in losing it, you destroyed it so that it was no longer tactically viable, right? You won, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this relevant to why Games Workshop pissed themselves? The Ultramarines had a brand new codex. A lot of the factions had brand new codexes. Chaos was 2 codexes behind. They didn't have any of the new stuff.
Those earlier codexes, they were not well balanced.
No, it's not even about well balanced. It's that Chaos didn't have the best equipment, but they made a blunder that we've talked about in regards to media and development. They assumed that people that were playing Chaos weren't good fighting with Chaos.
That was a terrible thought that they had.
The people who are playing Chaos were there for the love of the game. You don't play your faction 2 set codexes behind with bad equipment if you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Chaos won because they had better tacticians in a war game. And Games Workshop pissed themselves, invalidated the results of the conflict, and then pretended it never happened for 2 editions. And then now, finally, they're like, "Oh, Arcadia broke." And why? So they could split the galaxy in half, so you can have your preferred versions of the galaxy, while they push this fucking rowboat gorillaman plot down your fucking neck. Because Belisarius Cawl, the master heretic, has made his own Space Marines. That thing you're not supposed to do and not supposed to be able to do, because he was alive back then and the Emperor didn't tell him to stop. But we're all stupid, right? You know, it's just bigots who don't like other people having fun. Clearly,
I mean, somebody should just make a way to play Space King using Warhammer 40K.
I mean, somebody almost did that with a little game called Trench Crusade, but then the guys making Trench Crusade decided they didn't like the fans who made them what they are and turned into complete shitheads.
I mean, I'm glad I never got in on that.
I know, right?
But we did our 2 hours of show, and I think it was a good show.
I am always amused when you find ways to keep me talking so that we can make those last couple of minutes.
Exactly. And so, with all that being said, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.